The girl tells her friend that even with a tracking bracelet, it was tough to pinpoint her exact location. Thankfully, Lady Shadow tipped her off that Ash was heading to recruit more witches from the border town, and she is now really thrilled about meeting the other witches in person after her long trip. Ash somberly admits that the witches are hesitant to leave because they trust Prince Roland more than her. Maggie is surprised by how both siblings seem to have a soft spot for witches and are willing to welcome them. Ash then reveals her upcoming battle with the prince. If she loses, the prince won't allow her to take any witches, and she doesn't want to disappoint Princess Tilly by going back empty-handed. The little girl then reveals she saw a carriage with church flags as she flew here, and it was carrying around 10 people. Ash is confident they are heading to the border town due to the rumors about border town recruiting witches spread by the foolish prince across the continent. However, she's also pleased because after winning the match against them, the presence of the church will give her more reason to recruit other witches to the fjords. Once the church arrives, Roland will truly understand how badly he has messed up, or at least that's how Ash sees the situation. In the next scene, Lady Lightning zooms across the sky looking super happy. She's loving these goggles she's got on because they keep her eyes comfy even when she's flying crazy fast, all thanks to the prince. Suddenly, she spots this big pigeon. Instantly, she starts daydreaming about roasting it for dinner tonight. She's tired of having buttered toast and mushrooms daily, and her mouth is practically watering at the thought of juicy roasted bird. So, she bolts straight towards the pigeon, which is, of course, not to a pigeon at all. Poor Maggie freaks out when she sees Lightning hot on her tail. She starts flapping like crazy to outrun her, but Lightning, who is renowned for her speed, quickly catches her and they both tumble to the ground. Maggie, in a panic, tries to wriggle free while Lightning whips out her knife. The sight of that sharp blade terrifies the poor pigeon even more, and that's when she decides it's time to reveal her true form. She transforms back into herself, still teary-eyed from the close call of almost becoming dinner. Lady Lightning is left staring blankly, wondering where her delicious bird went, while Maggie cries like a little baby, pretty sure she's going to get eaten before she can turn back to the 5th princess. Lightning, trying to make sense of things, asks the crying girl if she's a witch too. Maggie stops crying for a moment and, while pouting, reluctantly says yes. Our girl immediately greets her, and they exchange names, although Maggie still hasn't quite forgiven her for trying to make a meal out of her. She then notices the tracking marker on Lightning's chest, which our girl hadn't even realized was there. Maggie reveals that these special stones are used to track the wearer's location, specifically made for witches, and only react to their matched stone. That is when Lightning explains that her father gave her one, and she always thought it was just decorative jewelry. She then asks where Maggie got hers, but she refuses to spill the secret, as Ash doesn't want her to tell anyone. Mention of Lady Ash makes Lightning realize she's with her too. She explains how Ash has been trying to convince everyone to leave this place. While Lightning boasts about all the incredible inventions, weapons, and other wonders my guy has been producing, things never seen before in this world. The girl asks if she can see these wonders for herself. Lightning, with a sly grin, suggests she can, but only if she joins the Witch Union and becomes part of the border town. Of course, Maggie decides to stick with Ash, and Lightning keeps on chatting about all the cool stuff to do around here. She's going on about the mushrooms they munch on, the yummy food they feast on. Just thinking about it makes Maggie's tummy rumble. By the end of it, Lightning's got Maggie convinced to stay. She tells her to tag along if she wants to have a blast. While they zip around town, Prince Roland and the professor are busy experimenting in the alchemy lab. Meanwhile, the girls are in the forest, gathering some delicious mushrooms to munch on. Along the way, they spot Wendy too. Later that day, they spend the evening studying. The next morning, they head to the northern mountains where people are busy making bullets for guns. Back at the castle garden, they have a great time, and Maggie is enjoying every moment. Afterward, they head to the outskirts of the border town where Carter is diligently practicing his shooting, and it looks like he's improving his aim at the targets. After a few days of hanging out with Lightning, Maggie comes back to Ash a bit late. Ash asks why she's been showing up late these days. Maggie happily shifts back into her human form and tells Ash that Lightning took her bird hunting. She even offers Ash a drumstick, but she declines with a cool, "No thanks." Maggie then happily starts munching on the drumstick herself, which Ash finds kinda creepy. Watching a bird eat another bird isn't exactly normal. Then, Maggie asks why Ash hates this place so much. She also tells her own desire that she kinda wants to stay here, because Prince Roland's always throwing fun parties and sharing grub in the backyard. He's easy to chat with, not like those stuck-up elites, just a simple, caring dude. As Maggie continues to highlight the positives of their current place, Ash's response remains unchanged. She grabs her head in frustration, knowing Maggie's life was full of misery until the fifth princess took her in, so it's natural for Maggie to see the bright side of this place now. Suddenly, Ash snaps at Maggie, reminding her that this place is constantly threatened by the church, and their lives could end as soon as the border town is attacked, especially since no one can defend against the Divine Punishment Army. But Maggie confidently shrugs off the concerns, asking Ash what if they actually defeated the church. Ash nods, sharing her own hope for that outcome. That's why she wants to spar with them, to show that they can't defeat the soldiers of the Judgment Army. The day of the battle finally arrives, and Sister Echo states the rules. No hitting the head, and anyone can surrender at any time. As long as they don't die on the spot, Nana's healing ability will restore everyone to their original state. The prince asks if anyone has any questions. When no one responds, he decides to let the match begin. Both contestants stand before each other. Ash is quite concerned to see that this knight doesn't have a sword or spear. Heck, he doesn't even have any armor. She wonders if he might be using a crossbow, but she brushes off her concerns and grips her sword tightly, confident that as long as she gets close to him quickly, she can make him beg for mercy. But it looks like this isn't going to be that easy, as Carter is also ready with his gun. As soon as the prince gives the order to start the match, Captain Ironaxe immediately hits that gong with a loud bang. Both contestants wield their weapons, and Ash immediately swings her sword from afar. The mere swing of her sword startles Carter, but he takes aim and starts shooting. When Ash sees those bullets coming, she sidesteps them in the nick of time, which still leaves her grazed over her face. She takes her stance and starts running forward, determined to close the distance between them. Her speed is so fast that she feels like a blur, and even the onlookers are amazed by her such reflexes. But Carter keeps his ground and continues shooting at her, trying to hit the bullet right at the perfect place. As the bullet comes flying towards her, Ash immediately blocks it with her giant sword. In an instant, before Carter can react, she attacks him directly in the gut, sending him flying backward. Everyone anxiously awaits the outcome, and when we look at Ash's face, blood is leaking down her cheek, while her belly is totally obliterated by the gunshot. Her consciousness starts to fade as her vision blurs. The crowd rushes to heal Carter before it's too late, while Ash weakly declares her victory to our hero. She then collapses, falling into the prince's arms. Before we progress the story further, let's take a look into Ash's past. Once dismissed as nothing more than a beggar in the bustling streets, Ash's life was anything but easy. On this particular day, the town is buzzing with excitement because the princess has come of age, and they're having a grand ceremony where food will be distributed to the people. The church's prestigious Archbishop Taefun is set to host this grand event alongside the princess. Hearing the mention of the Archbishop, Ash smiles, a smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes, probably because she's looking forward to taking that man down. As the princess's carriage finally rolls down the streets, Ash forces her way to the front line through the crowd. The fifth princess steps out of her carriage and the crowd erupts in cheers. Amidst the sea of faces, the princess notices someone who stands out the most for her, and it was Ash. Their eyes lock and time seems to stand still. In that brief moment, there's a flicker of recognition and something unspoken passes between them. Once we're back in the castle, Ash gets summoned by the princess. A servant nudges her forward, and the princess can immediately tell she's a witch. She reassures Ash, saying she won't have to wander the streets anymore. And that is also when the fifth princess gave Ash her name, since she was nameless before that point. In the current moment, she finally wakes up from her unconscious state. The bird girl excitedly jumps at her friend, and hugs Ash tightly. Ash lifts her overly enthusiastic friend and asks how long she was knocked out. The girl replies it was just one afternoon, explaining that Nana patched her up, piecing together her scattered parts to heal her belly almost completely. She continues to praise Nana's amazing healing powers, though Ash doesn't pay much attention, because her mind is already on a mission to meet our hero. While our hero was chilling alone, Lady Ash barges in like she owns the place, all excited to claim her victory in the bet. Prince Roland, being the good sport he is, admits defeat gracefully. After claiming her victory, Ash gives the prince props, saying he indeed has potential to fight against the God's Punishment Army. She's curious about the weapon Knight Carter used during their match. Prince Roland proudly shows off his pistol, thinking it's the next big thing for his troops, and everyone will be holding these bad boys in the battlefield. He even jokes about how it could turn a farmer into a formidable warrior against the army. When Ash asks for one of the guns for herself, he simply tells her to just stay here in the border town and join the Witch Association to gain access. Ash politely declines, and then drops the bombshell that she's heading back to Princess Tilly's place. She invites our hero to join them at the fjords if he ever needs shelter. In response, Roland says the same thing to her, assuring her that border town doors will always be opened for her to join. Just as Ash is about to leave, Roland calls her back and offers her a custom-made sword, crafted by Anna, to replace her old busted one. The lady eagerly takes the sword, feeling a surge of confidence as she grips it. She notices it's not your run-of-the-mill blade and questions why this is feeling so weird in hand. That's when Prince Roland drops the bomb. It's called Ashbringer, and he boldly and loudly claims it's a legendary item, far superior to her old sword. Swinging the sword around, she feels its power and gladly accepts this impressive gift. Meanwhile, Roland barely saved himself from getting cut down while she was swinging around her new toy recklessly. In the next scene, we're at the camping area of the church's scout army, led by Mira. The woman plans to scout if there are actually witches in the border town. She boldly declares that if Prince Roland is indeed harboring witches, she has the power to deliver holy judgment, and she's eager to give our hero a serious beating. Her pleasant train of thought is abruptly interrupted by news of enemy warrior attacks. The knights quickly order everyone to prepare for battle. The knighted lady rushes to peek outside, but before she can react, Lady Ash cuts down all of the knights in one quick motion. It seems my girl is here to put her new sword to the test, and it's working quite effectively as she effortlessly cuts down people left and right. In one quick swing, Ash cuts the knighted lady into two pieces, leaving Priestess Mira trembling in fear at the sight of such brutality. Ash's presence exudes such thick killing intent that it feels suffocating. The priestess recoils in fear, causing that book she was holding to topple to the ground. Maggie quickly recognizes the book as the church's choir book and smoothly grabs it. On the other hand, Lady Ash raises her sword. Then she begins her torture of this priestess, just like the church did with the witches.